I thought about this concerto for quite a long time, and I think it's important in our time when you're surrounded by so many different types of events, the news, everything. There seems to be a lot of anxiety, I think, in the air. So it's important to also remember to dance together.
You got this commission from Amsterdam Sinfonietta, and you wrote it for them and Lucas and Arthur Jussen and Slagwerk Den Haag. You mentioned earlier to me that you were very excited about writing for the brothers Jussen. Why?
Very much. Now, it's so important, I think, to have young ambassadors for living music. I think it's important. If you want to speak to the younger generation, you have to have young performers also on stage, so that everybody feels a good connection. That oh, look, it's someone that could be in my class, or it's someone that I could be friends with. So I think that's a really wonderful side to that youthful side. On the other hand, of course, they're very dedicated. So it's very nice to work with them. And of course, Amsterdam Sinfonietta have a fantastic, wonderful relationship, which started almost 10 years ago here at the Cello Biennale. They premiered my cello concerto. So to be back, to be working again with them is very special. An orchestra with no conductor who just, everything is so natural working with them. And it's just a very good relationship that we've established.
The three movements are quite different in character. Could you elaborate a little bit on the first one?
This was very important, a very important part of the construction of the whole concerto, that each movement is almost like its own world, but it's putting them together that makes the concerto what it is. I think the whole journey. You can have each one individually, but it's very important for them to be in context. So the first one was very much inspired by also the very multicultural, cosmopolitan cities that most of us are now living in on the planet. Most of us are actually in urban living rather than rural living, and this will continue, will increase most probably at least for the next 50, if not more years. So in this time, I think we have to really look after one another and think about being together. I think this isolation of living in big cities is going to be a big issue in the future for older generations. We have to think about how we're together. And yes, the first movement is very dense, very layered, a lot of dissonances and some kind of a tension created, but all the way through there is a propelled motion which is in the pianos, and it kind of gives you the momentum to just continue, keep going forward.
The second movement is quite lyrical. Why is that?
Remember, it's a very classical construction of the concerto. So traditionally the slow movement is in the middle, and it's a time to also absorb everything that has just happened and start to just think about how to approach that one melody, which is the key melody, approach it from different angles. I call the middle movement spiral waltz because you have one melody, but each time it's a little bit different, as if you're remembering something from the past, and every time you remember something slightly differently.
The final movement, it's called dance. So how would you describe it? How have you shaped this?
It's just, I call it pure adrenaline. The final movement is just full of energy, and also I think there is a slight buzzing excitement in the musicians, because it's a very complex score as well for them to follow. But yes, there is a constant pulse all the way through, taka 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 taka. But actually, that taka 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 is divided very irregularly, and so there are all of these slightly unexpected, jarring accents here and there, and that's the character of that final movement, something which is very constant, but at the same time unexpected and like you're dancing.